7, 9, 10.
विप्राद aravinda-nābha pādāravinda-vimukhāt śva-pacam variṣṭham
pādāravinda-vimukhāt śva-pacam variṣṭham
manye tad-arpita-mano-vacanehitārtha
manye tad-arpita-mano-vacanehitārtha
prāṇaṁ punāti kulaṁ natu bhūrimānaḥ
prāṇaṁ punāti kulaṁ natu bhūrimānaḥ viprād dvi-ṣaḍ-guṇa-yutād aravinda-nābha
viprād dvi-ṣaṭ-guṇa-yutād aravinda-nābha
pādāravinda-vimukhāt śva-pacam variṣṭham
pāda-aravinda-vimukhāt śva-pacam variṣṭham
manye tad-arpita-mano-vacanehitārtha
manye tad-arpita-mano-vacanehitārtha
prāṇaṁ punāti kulaṁ natu bhūrimānaḥ
prāṇaṁ punāti kulaṁ natu bhūrimānaḥ.
Read the translation.
If a Brahmana has all 12 of the Brahminical qualification as they are stated in the book called Sanat Sujata, but is not a devotee and is averse to the lotus feet of the Lord, he is certainly lower than a devotee who is a dog eater but who has dedicated everything, mind, words, activities, wealth and life to the Supreme Lord. Such a devotee is better than such a Brahmana because the devotee can purify his whole life and his whole family, whereas the so-called Brahmana in a position of false prestige cannot purify even himself.
Read the purport.
7, 9, 10. Here is a statement by Prahlad Maharaj, one of the 12 authorities regarding the distinction between a devotee and Brahmana expert in Karma Kand or Vedic ritualistic ceremonies. There are 4 varnas and 4 ashramas which divided human society, but the central principle is to become a first-class pure devotee. It is said in the Hari Bhakti Subodaya, Bhagavad Bhakti hi nasya jati shastram japa tapa aprāṇa seva dehasya mandanam lokaranjanam. If one is born in a high family like that of a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, but is not a devotee of the Lord, all his good qualifications as a Brahmana, Kshatriya or Vaishya are null and void. Indeed, they are considered decoration of a dead body. In this verse, Prahlad Maharaj speaks of the Viprās, the learned Brahmanas. The learned Brahmana is considered best among the divisions of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Sudra. But a devotee born in a low Chandal family is better than such Brahmanas, not to speak of the Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and others. A devotee is better than anyone, for he is in the transcendental position on the Brahman platform. Mam cha yo agvya-vicārena bhakti-yogena sevate sa-guṇāna samatittena brahma bhūyāya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus come to the level of Brahman. The 12 qualities of a first-class Brahmana as stated in the book called Sanat Sujata are as follows. Jnanam cha satyam cha brahma shrutam cha hi amatarayam rishi titiksha
Amatarayam ris titikshana suya. Titiksa and anasuya. Yajñascha danamcha dhriti samascha mahavrata dvadasa brahmanasya.
The Europeans and American devotees in Krishna conscious movement are sometimes accepted as Brahmanas, but the so-called caste Brahmanas are very much envious of them. In answer to such envy, Prahlad Maharaj says that one who has been born in a Brahmana family but is falsely proud of his prestigious position cannot even purify himself, not to speak of his family, whereas if a Chandala, a low-born person, is a devotee and has fully surrendered unto the lotus feet of the Lord, he can purify his entire family. We have had actual experience of how Americans and Europeans, because of their full Krishna consciousness, have purified their whole families, so much so that a mother of a devotee at the time of her death inquired about Krishna with her last breath. Therefore, it is theoretically true and has been practically proven that a devotee can give the best service to his family, his community, his society and his nation. The foolish accuse a devotee of following the principle of escapism, but actually the fact is that a devotee is the right person to elevate his family. A devotee engages everything in the service of the Lord and therefore he is always exalted.
Om Jnanatimmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manoਭीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्दे अहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण. So this verse is being spoken by Prahlad Maharaj. He is offering his prayers to Nrsimhadev, and the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj are also considered to be topmost prayers in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Many devotees read. Even the newcomers also we sometimes give them very logically. The teachings of Prahlad Maharaj and his prayers. Here are the prayers, and later previously there are the teachings to his demoniac classmates, wherein he says that one should start devotional service from the very childhood, Kaumaram Achayat Pragyo, and then how one sleeps and wanders out the time, wastes so much of time doing so much of activities. It's very meaningful and so much of lessons there in Prahlad Maharaj's teachings. But now, the prayers which is offering to Nrsimhadev, so this particular prayer, Srila Prabhupada often quoted to show that how, because when Prabhupada came to India, he had different challenges in different places. Bombay, Prabhupada had the challenge to mitigate the political difficulties and people being accused of being CIA, Srila Prabhupada's followers are being accused as being CIA. And in Mayapur he had to deal with his God brothers. God brothers were very prominently opposing, trying to create difficulty by Prabhupada would not get land or even sometimes they would go to police and complain about that this Swami Bhaktivedanta is not doing please come and things like that. A lot of opposition from God brothers in Mayapur and political difficulties in Bombay. But in Vrindavan, Prabhupada had a different difficulty. Prabhupada disciples were not accepted as proper followers of Vedic culture. So much so that they were naming the temple as Angrez Mandir. Like that. So this difficulty Prabhupada had. So Prabhupada would quote this verse to show that actually how his disciples were Brahmanas. Because the caste Goswamis and people who were born in Brahmana families, they were having the control of all the major deities, the 7 temples of Vrindavan, who were claiming themselves are the original followers of the Goswamis whose deities, whose temples and whose deities are there. So then many of them would say that all the 6 Goswamis were born in Brahman family. So Goswamis were Brahman family and we are their followers. You should need to be born in Brahman family, then only you can worship the deities or have the privilege of giving initiation, and you can preach, give Bhagavad Katha and all these things. This is only our monopoly. That was the understanding. But Prabhupada would often quote this verse saying that how Prahlad Maharaj says that the Brahmana, even if he has all 12 qualities, viprād, dvi-ṣaṭ-guṇa-yutād, but his viprāt and his dvi-ṣaṭ-guṇa-yutāt means dvi-ṣaṭ means 6, dvi means 12. So 12 good qualities he has, which are given in the purport. Prabhupada quotes them. Brahminical qualities. satyam, samadhama, saucham, tapa, arjavam, titiksa, and all these good qualities are there, are called brahminical qualities. Apparently it may not be there with a devotee sometimes because of not having the samskar from childhood, because childhood samskars matters a lot. Somebody sometimes may not have all these things, but he stumbles upon a pure devotee at a other phase of his life, and because of that he gets all good qualities, or he gets devotion at least. The seed of devotion he receives, but he doesn't have the necessary qualities. So in that case what happens? The devotee, Prabhupada says that he is better than the devotee the Brahmana who is born in Brahmana family. He has all 6 qualities, but he has no devotion to the Lord. The famous example is the yajning Brahmans. So if you go to Vrindavan, on the way to Mathura, there is this temple called Bhatwant-Vihari temple. So Mathura, there is these Brahmans, they were actually assigned by Kamsa to do brahminical yajnas. Although Kamsa was a devotee of Devi, a fully demoniac person, nevertheless he had some faith in the yajnas. That is, so he would do yajnas. He would request these Brahmanas to do yajna for his prosperity. So they were doing yajna, and Krishna had, he had gone to that part of Vrindavan that day, and all of the cowherd boys, they feel hungry, and somehow by arrangement none of them had brought lunch box that day. Something was there. So they say that Krishna, you are feeling hungry. Then Krishna says that you go here, say that we are with Balaram and we are here. Can you please give us some food? Go and request them. So all of them, they go enthusiastically, they're running, and then they're asking that can you give us something to eat? But all of them, because Krishna Balaram are hungry, so can you give? They say no, we can't give. So can you imagine the extent of, is given example here that Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is coming and asking for food, and they are not able to give. Right? They had the good privilege of feeding the Lord directly. Lord is yajna bhuk. You have to do yajna and so much of procedure, then only he will eat something, Viṣṇu. Otherwise he will not eat. Here the source of Viṣṇu is there. He is begging for something they could have given, but they are saying no. So why they were not able to give him? Definitely because they never had the association of devotees. First thing. Second thing, their attachment to karma kanda was more than the spirit behind it. That was the purpose. So they were thinking that no. And how can we give? If we give, because it will become improper. Because once the Purna Ahuti is not given, all those who are seated on the yajna and doing all the worship, and they are involved in the process, they should not eat anything. Even in fact also, initiation, in our initiation jab hota hai, those who take initiation have to fast that day till the yajna gets over. Guru Maharaj gives Purna Ahuti. After that you can eat. Right? So that's the yajna vidhi. Yajna has this kind of thing. So they were, how can he give? They were not giving. Then they came back empty-handed. They reported to Krishna that we did not get anything. A beautiful discussion is there between Krishna and the cowherd boys. Very interesting. You can recite the verses. This is 10th chapter, 10th canto, chapter number 23. Very beautiful section. And so Krishna says that when they come back, there is a very interesting discussion. Krishna says a very interesting point. You see here. when the cowherd boys came back, it's 10:23:10 10:23:10 translation. Although the ingredients of sacrificial performance, the place, the time, particular paraphernalia, mantra, ritual, priest, fire, demigods, performer, and the unseen beneficial results are all simply aspects of opulence, of his opulence. The Brahmana saw Lord Krishna as an ordinary human being because of their perverted intelligence. See here how Brahmanas are also getting bewildered. You understand? So although they were supposed to know all these things, they failed to recognize that he is the supreme absolute truth, directly manifest personality of Godhead, whom the material senses cannot ordinarily perceive. Thus bewildered by their false identification of the mortal body, they did not show him proper respect. So they were sent back. And then what happens? Nate yad om iti prochur na neti na parantapa gopa nirasa pratyetya tathochu Krishna Ramayoho. So they came back and they are speaking to Balram, Krishna Balram. When the Brahmanas failed to reply, even if it's simple yes or no, they did not want to give. They thought, na bol denge to you might get some sin. You might get a sin. Lord Ramchandra says to to Lakshman ji that when Lord Ram is asking to Lakshman that have you seen when Jatayu shows the jewelries that this lady, some lady was going, I don't know if Sita or not, Ravana was taking, and then she was calling your name. I protected her, and these are the jewelries. They were, our Sugriv. Jatayu knew that. So when Lord Ramchandra sees all this, he understands this is of Sita's. So he shows to Lakshman, can you recognize all this? Lakshman says, no, I cannot recognize any of them. Only show me the anklet. I can tell whether they belong to Sita or not. So there are very interesting shloka he says that. He says that you will never find a man whose eyes and mind has not gone upon another man's wife. You will not find a Brahman, very like that he says, you will not find a Brahman who has this is one sloka, and he says that you will not find a person who has never said no to you will never find a Brahman who has whose mind and eyes have not gone upon another man's wife. You will not find a Kshatriya who is it is very rare to find a Kshatriya who has not shown his back to the enemy, and it is very rare to find a householder or a Vaishya who has never said no to a person who is begging. Like that he says. It is very rare to find these three categories. Like that he says there. So here the Brahmanas are fearing of defaming that you have said no to someone. So they did not say no, and they did not say yes. They did not want to go and to give also. So just in Odia it says a katheja, means just that is called you become behave like a wood. That is the meaning. They behave like a wood actually. And you can see what Krishna is telling. Tadupakarnya bhagavan prahasya jagadishwarah vyajahara punargopan darsayan laukikim gatim. तो लौकिक ही गति दिखा रहे हैं उनको कि देखो ये कौन सा बिहेवियर है, ये तो लौकिक बिहेवियर है, गोलौकिक बिहेवियर नहीं है। ये कौन सा बिहेवियर है? ये लौकिक बिहेवियर है। चलो ट्रांसलेशन।
Hearing what had happened, Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord of the universe, simply laughed. Then he again addressed the cowherd boys, showing them the way men act in this world.
So this is how the lौकिक behavior. So this like that Krishna is indicating. He says that fine. Read the next translation. Now Krishna says that you go to the wives of Brahmanas, and to them he said I and Balaram. Like that. Krishna, but to Yajnapatis Krishna says Balaram and Krishna are here. You go and tell them that Balaram and Krishna are there. But here Krishna is telling that to Yajnapatis you go and say that I and Balaram are, they have come and they are feeling very hungry and they are very affectionate toward me, and they will immediately give. So when they went there to report, what happened? Read the translation, the cowherd boys.
The cowherd boys then went to the house where the Brahmana's wives were staying. There the boys saw those chaste ladies sitting, nicely decorated with fine ornaments. Going down to the Brahmana lady, the boy addressed them in all humility.
Now they are asking, Namo vipravatnibhyo nibodhata vachamsina iti avidure charata krishnena hasitavayam iti avidure charata. From very, avidure means very near. Hey, vipravatnis is there, Krishna is there, he is nearby, he is grazing the cows. Gas charayan sa gopalai sa rama duranagata vibhuksitasya tasyanam sanugasya pradiyatam. He has come a long way because Krishna has come from Nandagam, quite a far distance, and now he is hungry, so please arrange some foods for him. Now what happened, you see, for the Brahmana Patnis actually, the wives of Brahmanas were so eager to see Krishna, for their minds have been enchanted by the description. They would hear the descriptions of Krishna and they were immediately attracted. They were very excited to getting opportunity, because they never got an opportunity to come out and ever had the opportunity that we can ever see Krishna Balaram. They used to hear about glorious pastime. Sometimes they used to kill the demons, they would do that, they would do this, and they would hear and they would see how to look for these two boys, how to see. Like that, they were eager. And similar was the Mathura ladies also. And what happens there, the ladies, they talk a lot. Among the ladies, you find they do lot of prajalpa, lot of gossip. But then the two ladies will sit now, they will talk about the whole world, whatever things are there, talking. So they were talking like that. What happened? Chaturvidam bahugunam annam adaya bhajane avisasru priyam sarva samudram iva nimagnaha. See how they carried and rushed towards meet Krishna the way. Nimagna means rivers. Nimagna means river, and river the way they flow towards sea. See, all the rivers are considered to be daughters of mountain and husband or wife of sea, because a girl has their origin from father, destination is husband. Like that, the rivers they start from, mostly the rivers they start from mountain, like Mahendra Tanaya, Amarkantak, Himalaya, and all these places, and they eventually end up in the sea. That's why the mountains are considered to be their father, and husband, sea is considered to be their husband. So they are entering into the sea. The way like that they started running. Yeah. Next what happened, you see, although their husbands, their brothers, sons, their relatives tried to forbid them from going, their hope for seeing Krishna cultivated by extensive hearing. This is a very important line here. You see, although their husbands, their brother, their son, their relatives, the physical inabilities, the restrictions, the conditions, all this, they were forbidding them from going to Krishna. Their hope of seeing Krishna cultivated because of what? Extensive hearing. Extensively they had heard. And they had heard from the Brajagopikas, because the ladies generally they associate with the other ladies. and the these gopis, they would go always either to take the dahi doodh, and they not always to sell. The Brajavasi gopis, they had a understanding that nobody should remain hungry nearby, so they would, their doodh, dahi, makhan would be always, house would be filled with all these things. Nowadays hardly in anybody's house you will find doodh, dahi, makhan, butter, ghee. You never find all these things. You will find cosmetics, lipstick and all these things. But these items you will never find nowadays. These house will be fragrance with all these things. And always so much being produced because of so many cows. So they would take all these things and see somebody is hungry. That's how Madhavendra Puri, of course Madhavendra Lord himself came, but their Lord says that in our village nobody remains hungry. Whoever comes, that's why Braj, now also they have a culture. You go there, we had gone to Navandi river. So there's a very amazing lady. She was, she came with so much of rotis she was making, and she came and gave to all devotees she was giving. Maharaj told her name also, I don't remember her the name. So I think Hindu Lekha Mata she told something like that. So they have this culture. Now these ladies, they might have heard from these Braja gopis that about Krishna's glorious pastime so many times. And not only might have heard, extensively they have heard. I don't know what, somehow this Yajna Brahmanas, Yajna Vipras, they never got to hear about Krishna, it seems, from because of fear of Kamsa, they would never associate with Krishna's devotees and all. They wanted their best to please Kamsa as far as possible and get all the material remunerations. And we will have to check that how they were living in Mathura and Vrindavan. Because living in Mathura and Vrindavan, most of them were Krishna's devotee. So they could not do that. Then what happened, you see? Although their husbands, because of cultivated by extensive hearing of his transcendental qualities, worn out. Along the river Yamuna, with a garden decorated with buds of Asoka trees, they caught sight of him. That's why the place where this Bhatron Bihari temple is there, it is called Asokavan. Written in that temple, it is written Ashok. You observe that in the temple it is written Ashokavan, because it says that in Bhagavatam, the garden, the place on the bank of Yamuna, Asoka trees were there. Asoka tree, anybody knows which is Asoka tree? Asoka tree. Asoka tree is actually the Devodaru trees. They are Asoka trees. So they caught sight of him strolling along the company of the cowherd boys and his elder brother Ram. So Krishna was roaming there. A beautiful verse told by this Shuddha Goswami here, 10:23-22. Shyamam hiranyaparidhim vanamalyavarha
Shyamam hiranyaparidhim vanamalyavarha
Dhatu pravalanataveshamanovrataṁse
Dhatu pravalanataveshamanovrataṁse
Vinyasta hastamitarena dhunanamabjam
Vinyastahastamitarena dhunanamabjam
Karnotpalalakakapolamukhabjahasham
Karnotpalalakakapolamukhabjahasham
Syamam hiranyaparidhim. His bodily complexion is described and how he was wearing. Hiranyaparidhi means pitambar, and Vanamalya Varaha, wearing garland which was made by all the flowers taken from Vana, and Varaha means he was wearing peacock feather. And then Natavesham Vinyasta hasta itarena dhunanam abjam means in one hand he was wearing a lotus flower and rotating it, taken from Yamuna. Like that he was rotating. You can understand Krishna's playful nature actually. Taking a lotus and rotating it. I read the translation.
His complexion was dark blue and his garment golden, wearing a peacock feather-colored minerals, springs of flower buds, and a garland of forest flowers and leaves. He was dressed just like a dramatic dancer. He rested one hand upon the shoulder of a friend, and with the other hand twirled a lotus. Lilies graced his ears. His hair hung down over his cheeks, and his lotus-like face was smiling.
This is the sight that was caught by whom? The Dvijapatnis. Read the next translation.
O ruler of men, for a long time those Brahmana ladies had heard about Krishna, their beloved, and his glories had become the constant ornaments of their ears.
Constantly they were hearing. That was their practice. So what they would do, they would hear from gopis, and actually some of them will hear. So that Brahmana Patni who will hear, she will go and tell to others. And that was the discussion actually. Like that. Constant discussion was going on. They were constantly talking about Krishna, hearing about his pastimes in Vrindavan. And these are now, because of that, what happened?
Indeed, their minds were always absorbed in him. Through the aperture of their eyes, they now forced him to enter within their hearts. And then they embraced him for a long time. In this way, they finally gave up the pain of separation from him, just as sages give up the anxiety of false ego by embracing their innermost consciousness.
Just see how Sukdev Goswami is. Where are the Dvijapatnis and where are the yogis? How he is, the beauty. He is telling that they gave up the pain of separation from Krishna the way Atma Tattva Jnanis, those who are searching after absolute truth, they give up the identification with the false ego when they embrace innermost consciousness. Innermost consciousness is what? Is chit. That is chit. When somebody catches the chit, then he gives up false ego. That's the example he is given. He is how he is telling. Pragyam yatha vimattayoho vijaharu narendra anta pravesya suchiram. Like that. Yeah, read next one.
Lord Krishna, who witnesses the thoughts of all creatures, understood how those ladies had abandoned all worldly hopes and come there simply to see him. Thus he addressed them as follows with a smile upon his face.
Yeah. So witness the thought of all creatures understood how those ladies had abandoned. Because Krishna knows everything. He knows that how they have come, they have given up their worldly connection and they have come. Simply to see him, they have come. And Krishna starts addressing them with a smile. Swagatam vo mahabhaga.
Swagatam vo mahabhaga.
Asyatam karavaam kim.
Asyatam karavaam.
Yanno didrikshaya prapta.
Yanno didrikshaya prapta.
Upapannam idam hi vaha.
Upapannam idam hi vaha.
See, Swagatam vo mahabhaga. Hey, greatly fortunate ladies. Asyatam, please come. Karavaam kim. What can I do for you? You have only called them, forgiving them. They are asking, what can I do? Karavaam kim? Like that Krishna is asking. Like that. Krishna says, ahetuki avyavhitam bhaktim atma priyatha. Very beautiful sloka. Nanvadamai kurvanti kushala swarthadarshinaha ahetuki avyavahitam bhaktimatma priyayatha. Read.
Certainly expert personalities who can see their own true interest render unmotivated and uninterrupted devotional service directly unto me, for I am most dear to the soul.
Bhaktim atma priyayatha. Say that ahetuki abhyatam, those who are kushala means those who are very expert. They swarthadarshina, after hearing their topmost personal good, they do ahetuki and abhyavihata devotional service to me. Like that he says. In the purport it says that Supreme Lord informed the Brahmana's wife that not only they but all the people who recognize their true self-interest take to the spiritual process of loving service to the Lord. Lord Krishna is Atma Priya, the real object of love for everyone. Although each individual has his own taste and freedom, ultimately every living being is a spiritual spark of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, everyone's primary loving attraction is constitutionally meant for Lord Krishna. Loving service to the Lord should be ahetuki, without personal motive, and abhyavihata, unobstructed by mental speculation, selfish desire, or for any quirk of time or circumstances. Read the next shloka. Read the next one.
It is only by contact with the self that one's vital breath, intelligence, mind, friends, body, wife, children, wealth, and so on are dear. Therefore, what object can possibly be more dear than one's own self?
Because whatever is dear, it is dear because of it has a connection with the soul. But people don't go there. People see the connection with the body. A mother loves her own son. Mother loves the husband, loves the own brother, own mother, father, whoever is connected with the body, people love. So much so that people love their own birthplace. From the place where the body was born, people love so much. Right? So much of love for the birthplace also, because the body is connected. People very strong identification, very strong. People identify because of the body. But they don't see the one step behind. One step behind is that the body is so dear because it has a connection with the soul. That's what is being spoken here. Okay. It goes on further. Then the Brahmapatnis will speak and then Krishna will speak. They will glorify. Some other time we will read this. śva-pacam ki. Two verses they will speak and then Krishna will speak. 2-3 verses. 3 verses Krishna will speak. Very small chapter, not very big chapter. But many vital instructions there. जय श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय।